And in the spirit of kind of feeling more connected with you, I'm not going to use a mic, but can everyone hear me? Okay, awesome. Well, my name's Sarah Sampson, and I'm so thrilled not only for the city of Fort Worth, but for all of us in this room to get to connect in this way around creativity. And I know that a lot of these talks start with kind of like my to-do list, the stuff that I do. And if I were to give you some of that, I'm the social emotional learning facilitator for a school district here in Texas, Keller ISD, which means that I spend every day with kids in our generation trying to figure out how we can build their human skills, make them feel more connected in this world. I also lead something called Ecstatic Dance here in Fort Worth, which I'll be telling you more about. But what I actually want to do is I want to get out of my to-do list. And the last thing I want to do is give you a to-do list on how to be more creative. Because what I'm more interested in is getting us kind of unplugged out of the mind and actually throw that to-do list out there in the botanic gardens somewhere. And think about what it means to be creative in an embodied way, which is really just a fancy way of saying getting into the body and out of this hamster wheel of the mind. As a creative, the mind has often not been my friend in my creative projects. It's full of self-doubt and negative self-talk and what it should look like, or worse, what they think it should look like, And I'm going to be totally honest with you. As I was trying to put together this talk, I wanted so badly to rehearse it and have something perfectly constructed for you, and I just couldn't do it. And so I'm standing in front of you with an unrehearsed way of speaking, so it might not be linear. I might not move directly towards some goal because I'm not interested in creating that way anymore. I'm interested in creating in a way that's totally present, totally in touch with what's happening right now, and what's happening right out here with you. So if it's a little bit cyclical in nature, stay with me, because this is how we flow, So in the nature of that, and because I need it too, my mind is having a really hard time with the fact that I didn't rehearse. It's telling me I'm going to fail. It's telling me I'm going to say something really stupid. It's telling me that at some point I'm just going to blank and stand in front of you, and that might happen, and that will be okay. But my body, my heart's beating, can feel my knees locking a little bit. And if I attend to it, it's here, and that's it. So I'm going to have us take a moment to get all here, So if you want to just uncross your legs, put both your feet on the floor, set your coffees down, and we're just going to sit for just a second and see how in this room we can be. So go ahead, you can close your eyes or stare at the floor if that's more comfortable for you. And start just by noticing your feet. See if you can spread your toes in your shoes, feel those there. Notice your knees, your hips, the places that you're touching the chair. Notice your hands, are they gripped or holding on? Could they wilt like flowers? Could they relax? Your shoulders, could they relax a little further away from your ears? Your belly, could you take in a big, deep breath and sigh it out? We got more in there. Deep breath. Sigh it out. Nothing to do, everything to be. Notice your jaw. Is your jaw tight? How's your tongue? Could it relax in your mouth? The places between your eyebrows, could they relax a little bit? And now just notice your body. Notice it being all here. And seeing if there's any place where you could just relax a little bit more deeply into the experience of right now. And then we'll take in just one more big deep breath in together. And we'll sigh it out. And you can go ahead and just open your eyes. And know that being the human being that you are, you're going to think about a zillion things between right now and when I finish this talk, and that's okay. But if you can, see if you can come back to this body that's right here and right now. Now, the thing about the mind, which takes me in all the many directions away from myself, the body, which is connected to the five senses, is eternally present. It's eternally right here. And this makes sense. We know this, right? That the five senses exist right here and right now. I mean, I can't smell tomorrow. I can't taste yesterday. It's not possible. So when I tune into my five senses, I get this like express track to the present moment. Because what I can touch and what I can smell and what I can hear and what I can see is now. It's in touch with life. It's in touch with what's real. The mind itself for me is constantly projecting, constantly creating something. And it's hard to be in touch with my real, true, raw, creative, authentic self when I've got this chatter that's constantly trying to create something better, more interesting for you. Now, I consider myself a creative. And I consider my greatest project, like most of you, the one that takes my most attention, the one that's my full-time job, to be the creation that is this. That is myself. That is my life. But if you would have asked me a few years ago, about 5 years ago, how I was creative and what was my creative life, I would have told you that I was an actress. And that would have been true. It would have been really, really true because I was doing something like 5 shows a year. But that is not where you would have seen my best performances. You would have seen those at your dinner table and all my romantic relationships. Yeah, I was faking it everywhere, y'all. Everywhere, because I really did think that I could create something, that I could stand in front of people and whatever I could construct for them would be far more beautiful, far more interesting than just showing up as myself. Now, I have a friend who's in this room who spent quite a bit of time with me post-college, and he actually drew me this diagram, this great and wonderful diagram, which I encourage you to create for yourself someday, where he had my name in the middle, and then around this diagram, he had all these different characters I played. And they were all resting in different contexts. You know, I had my yoga friends, my theater friends, my work friends, college friends, family, high school. And he showed me the different masks I put on in all these places. And he asked me, all right, so which one of these is you? I was devastated that I could not answer that question. And it sent me on a chase to find myself. I picked up yoga, I picked up meditation, I traveled to Japan and cleaned toilets in a monastery. I went through all of Europe with a backpack and talked to every stranger I could find. I went out to the jungles of Peru and fasted for many, many weeks. And it wasn't there that I found myself on that chase, because it turns out, of course, it was like right here all along in this body. I found myself, or rather uncovered myself, remembered myself, revealed myself on a dance floor, okay? Now, and before this, my friends, I did not consider myself a dancer. Even being involved in theater, I was one of those people who we'd have to do a dance call and you'd have to go and do these moves, and I just, it was never it for me to dance. I did not consider myself a dancer. And lots of people come to me now with that thought, that mind thought. I'm not a dancer. Everyone's a dancer, spoiler alert, just like everyone is a creative. So I find this thing called ecstatic dance, not to be confused with exotic dance, which I hear a lot. Not to be confused. Ecstatic dance. Yeah, and I think I found it somewhere in the yoga meditation world. Someone guided me towards ecstatic dance. And I show up, and ecstatic dance, it has these agreements that go along with it. So the first thing that you agree is that you're going to be totally sober. You're going to be intoxicant-free, which for a lot of us is like, but I can't dance if I don't have that part. Trying to get real, yeah, you're trying to be with yourself in this practice. You agree to take your shoes off, which I'm going to do right now. Be in touch with the floor. You agree that you're not going to talk when the music starts. And I understand now that this is because talking is like also a good highway up to the brain, right, and out of the body. So I get to this ecstatic dance floor, and the first thing I do is I just kind of stand on the edges and I observe. And what I see is all these people moving without a care in the world, eyes half closed, totally lost in the music. They're not dancing for me. They're not dancing for anyone else. They're dancing just for the fun of it. And I thought, yeah, that looks good. So I jump out on the dance floor, and immediately in the mind, I'm like, okay, I don't know how to dance. Well, I know this move. I'll just do this move for a little while. Okay, I ran out of that move, all right. That girl, she can dance. That's interesting. Ooh, look at that guy. He can't dance, right? So the mind, it's like, it's judging, it's constructing, thinking about how it should look. It took me many, many, many times showing up to this ecstatic dance thing where I finally got it, right? That if I got totally out of my head and I just let that part go, and I really just listened to the music, and I really dropped in, that my body knew exactly what to do. If I just allowed it to move, what came out was something that was true and raw and real and beautiful. And it wasn't for anybody else. It was for the joy of it, for the pure joy of simply creating and moving out of something that was real, not constructed, not made up. Yeah? So I kept showing up. I kept dancing, I kept moving, and what I found was that there was a lot in there, right? There was a lot underneath all that. And Gabrielle Roth, who we'll talk about in a moment, who really created kind of the context for ecstatic dance, she says, between the toes and the head is 1,000,000 miles of unexplored wilderness. And it's true. And things that were coming up were big emotions, big thoughts. When my mind became clear, and my body became open, I was receptive to all these things about myself. And some of them were not cute, y'all, right? The parts we want to hide coming up. All those masks, trying to integrate them into something that was real. Yeah. So keep dancing, keep moving. And my life started changing. I would come out of dance and I'd want to write and I'd want to draw. I'd want to call my mom and tell her that I loved her. My life became a lot less rehearsed. Because I noticed that just like on the dance floor in life, if I could get out of my head and just listen to what was happening, I could flow with it. I could move with it, yeah? Now, what I was accessing, I'm realizing now, is something that has already been termed flow state. You might have seen some of this. There's been a book written about it. Psychologists have actually studied what they call peak experiences. And often these peak experiences, these flow states, they find in creatives who are so totally engaged with what they're doing that they lose track of time, they lose sense of self. They're totally embodied in that experience, yeah? But what I'm getting interested in now is how do I stay in that state when I'm not on the dance floor, when I don't have a paintbrush in my hand? How do I stay there? How do I make that my life? If my artwork is this, how do I stay in that authentic flow in my conversations, in my romantic interactions? How do I stay real? How do I stay present? How do I stay listening in that creative mode? So, ecstatic dance, it's an hour and a half, okay? And you follow this journey, this arc, from beginning to end. And this arc, this journey, is a map that was created by this woman named Gabrielle Roth. And it's a map that you know so well. It's the map of beginning to end, morning to night, birth to death. It's the map of life. It's the map of creation. So, the first rhythm, whether we are waking up, whether we're starting a project, is the rhythm of flowing. And flowing is the rhythm of birth. It's inhale, soft, warm edges. It's the beginning, the inspiration, the blank canvas, the first sentence on that beautiful white page. It's when you meet that guy in the coffee shop, yeah? It's pregnant and full of potential. It's connected to the feet, the foundation. It's soft, round, flowing, yeah? Now flowing, you can't stay there, even though we want to, right? Some of us love the beginnings of relationships. We love starting projects. But we've got to get clear. We've got to move into the second rhythm, staccato. Now, staccato is about definition. It's exhales. It's adolescence, it's hips, it's elbows, it's jagged edges. It's where we start to get defined, make clear, bold choices, black, thick marker on the page. In that relationship where we say, hey, so what are we doing here? Right? We're making choices. It's experimental. It's edgy, yeah? Whew, staccato. The music here is often sharp, hard. Now we can't stay here. Can't stay here either. We move into what's called chaos, which is where the inhale meets the exhale, where the head surrenders to the feet. It's uncontrolled, it's wild. It's the place where we start to shatter ourselves, and what wants to be created gets to move through. Where we've wadded up 1,000 drafts and thrown them in the trash can, and suddenly we're throwing red paint on the canvas, and our relationship is breaking down, and we're not sure what wants to happen, but something is happening. Now, a lot of us can get caught in this chaos, right? The mid-noon traffic, yeah? And a lot of us avoid this chaos. We want it to end, but if we can stay with it, what comes on the other side is lyrical maturity, the kinetic movement of something that was broken open flows out, effortless. The breath is easy. Yeah. This is where we step back from the canvas and make polishing touches. That point in our relationship where things start to get comfortable, easy, where we know how you like your eggs. We can make them just how you like it. It's simple, easy. It's also the beginning of the end. The beginning of letting go. It's in the fingertips. And even here, we can't stay. We move into the rhythm of stillness, which doesn't come all at once. Stillness, the end, death. Now, in our projects, this is often the hardest one for us as creatives to arrive to say, I'm done. I'm complete here. The final draft, the putting the paints away and saying, this is complete. In relationship, saying, I'm finished, we're finished. Now, a lot of times we avoid this part. We don't want to arrive at the end. But the truth is that in the cyclical nature of life, if we don't come to an end, we can't begin again. This is how life flows. This is how life moves, right? In order to keep this wheel moving, we have to keep flowing with the impermanent nature of things. Now, the truth of dance and of life and of any creative project, any relationship, anything you bring your whole self to, is that there's gonna be songs, there's gonna be parts that you're like, yeah, my body knows just what to do in this moment. I like it. It feels good. And the truth is that part will end. And there's gonna be parts that are really hard, that are difficult, that we want so badly to end. And there's comfort in knowing, right? That will end too. So how do we stay with the parts that feel good and stay with the parts that are difficult, knowing that they're impermanent and knowing that they're moving and changing? Yeah? So, the rhythm of dance, staying present and embodied with the changing nature of creativity, is what I'm curious about. I did return to theater just a month ago. Yeah. And you could not write this stuff. I did a play that was a tribute to Gabrielle Roth. I don't even know how this happened. It was wonderful. And I showed up on stage, and instead of trying to figure out all the many things I could cover myself with, I tried to see how much I could strip down. Because here's what I know when it comes to creativity: if I can really stand in front of you and show you me, there might be something here that can connect with you. Because that's what's real, and that's what's true. Yeah? And so my challenge for you now, my friends, my creatives, is that you see just how much of yourself, fingertips to toes, that you can bring to your creations. Can you be all there? To your writing drafts, your work projects, your relationships, your conversations, your morning cup of coffee. Knowing that everything is an opportunity to be a creator. And every moment is an opportunity to stay in the flow of the ever-changing rhythm of life. This life, this beautiful work in progress, is not something we're supposed to be audience members of, or directors, somewhere off there barking orders. We're supposed to be active, alive, flowing, and creating. Yeah, that's what I got.